Hello, this is Jokina with Modern Homemakers, and today I'm going to show you how to make fried cabbage. It's super easy, super filling, and super cheap. This meal will feed my entire family for like definitely under $3. Dollar cabbage, and I'd say less than $1 of onion, potato, and then trace amounts of oil and salt. So that's all you need: cabbage, onion, potatoes, salt, oil. So the first thing we're going to do is get our pan heated up. If you use Teflon pans, nonstick pans, you're fine. This isn't going to stick. If you're against Teflon, as am I, and you use stainless steel for a lot of things, save yourself some tears here. Do not try to cook fried potatoes, which basically is what we're starting with here, in a stainless steel pan. It'll completely stick. Tofu does the same thing, and you end up with a fried mess. So cast iron, if it's properly oiled, acts like Teflon pans. It's crazy. Anyway, we're gonna add, I'm using canola. You can use olive if you want. We're gonna add in just enough oil. You can see this is not a measuring type of meal. I've covered like the entire bottom. We might even add some more oil throughout as we're cooking. And that's going to start getting hot while we chop our onion. So chop whatever way makes you happy. I like to cut it in half, then go down the sides. And then take some of the bigger chunks down like that. So I'm not a professional chef here, but that gets the job done. Cut up any big pieces you still see. And we're going to get our hands wet and see if our oil's hot yet. Nope, not hot, so we're going to wait until that splashes back when we do that to add our onions. Okay, this is a little dangerous and a little hazardous on your clothing. That's the apron, but it's also kind of fun. I have my hand, I just ran it into the water, and... oh, that was not very dramatic. I took too long to flick. And... woo! Ready to add the onions. But you gotta have fun when you're cooking. It's repetitive and boring and all that fun stuff. So getting that started there, and we just want that to be first, but we're gonna start adding in potatoes as we chop them. So long ways cut down the potato. Really, you know, you should peel your potatoes probably. I just settle for scrubbing them a lot of the time because that just adds a lot of time, but these are not organic potatoes, and that's a horrible source of pesticides, so at least scrub them really well like I did. But if you want to take the extra time to peel them, that is less stuff in your body. Now, if you have organic potatoes, I would say don't peel them because a lot of the nutrients are in the skin. That's just ruined basically by the pesticides, so... move that around a little and start adding potatoes as we cut them. So at least scrub them really well. You don't want that in your body. So I'm going to do probably 4 or 5 potatoes, and we'll come back in a second when those are all in. I've got 4 very large potatoes. I actually probably went a little bit overboard with potatoes, but my husband normally doesn't eat this meal, but he's home today, so I really want to fill, this is like an extra large cast iron skillet to begin with, and I really want to fill it up today. So I'm got all these in here, and I'm just going to kind of peel back a little to see if that is starting to brown, and it's not. So it's a time-sensitive thing. You don't want to flip them too soon, or everything can get soggy. But if you wait too long, it can burn. So play around with it. But a good tactic is to kind of peek before you turn. So we'll come back when it's ready to turn. Okay, if you come, I'm going to do my little trick, and you can see parts of it, they're just starting to get nice golden brown in there. I checked it a second ago. See that? See how that's getting to be? It's not black, but it's a nice reddish brown. And what we're going to do is flip so that those are on top. I'm going to go all the way around my giant pan. Get my bed and do that. Oh, those were a little too much on that side. And we're going start chopping our cabbage. I've rinsed it, and I always remove the outer couple of leaves. Once again, this is not organic, so we want to get as much of the chemical affected areas off as possible. So I just take off the first couple of leaves, and then I rinse it. And that's your center. We're going to go down. I am just going to take a moment here and get rid of this really coarse center section, because I always end up with that piece on my plate otherwise, so it doesn't save me in the long run. So I try to leave that in. Okay. So just from the side, I like kind of bigger pieces of cabbage. You could cut this up smaller if you want, but you either like cabbage or you don't, and I happen to like it, so. You can see those are just nice big pieces that you'll come across when you're eating. Now if you don't have cabbage very often, I will caution you that it'll taste really good and you'll want to eat a bunch, but this baby, it's going to expand in your tummy, and you're going to look like 9 months pregnant if you don't restrain yourself, and it's a little uncomfortable when you have too much fun with cabbage. So we're going to get the other side chopped up too. I'm going to come check on this. Yep, we're ready for a flip again. Now, it's kind of a tricky point to decide when you're ready to add the cabbage. You don't want to do it too soon. But, like the potatoes, when they're fried potatoes, you know, when you push on it, it would go through if it was done. So, we're not to that point yet, but I'm going to wait just a little bit longer because the cabbage cooks a lot faster than the potatoes do. So, we'll come back in a couple minutes. I'm afraid if I wait too long, I'm going to overcook my potatoes. You can see they're getting that nice brown color everywhere now. So I'm going to start adding some cabbage to the top. And we're not going to be able to add it all at once because I put in so many potatoes, but the cabbage kind of wilts and shrinks just with the steam. So we'll start off with some and then we'll work some more in over time. And we're going to turn this and start getting it down blue. Trying to. So I've got as much in there as I can fit. I've turned a little bit of it under, and I'm going to put my lid on so it starts kind of steaming it. And we'll be back when it shrinks enough that I can turn it and add some more cabbage. And I turned down the stove a little bit at this point. You can see just the sweat and condensation forming in there because the cabbage has a lot of liquid. So anyway, we are finally at the point where we have enough space. Oh, children! It is a little bit burnt here. That's what happens when you're dealing with kids and a mess of stuff. Anyway, they'll be eating it. It's their fault. And we're going to start adding in the rest of that cabbage so that they can cook down too. If you find that it's really dry, this is the point where you can scrape stuff to the side and add a little more oil. And you do that all the way around if you want more of that in there. I think I'm going to be able to get it all worked in. You can see, if I had tried to add all that cabbage at the beginning, I would have had a giant mess on my stove instead of a little bit of mess on my stove. Okay, remember to keep turning this, and by the point where you can take a spatula or a fork through a potato, they're cooked, and when the cabbage is all wilted, it'll be done. I'll show you at the end. And the salt, you could add that in there while you're cooking, but my kids like to see me put the salt on there. Weird. Maybe they don't trust me because I don't use very much salt. So I save that for the last, and I sprinkle that on the individual plates. Okay, it's done, and we know it's done because the cabbage is all turning translucent, and when you go to a potato, it cuts right in half. So, you know, you want to make sure your potatoes aren't still hard, otherwise it doesn't taste any good. And So for the kids' plates, you know, and for the adult plates, I just recommend just right at that point, sprinkle some salt on top, and this is great by itself. But if you want something even more filling, sadly, what goes with this meal is also really filling. But I recommend you add in some white beans, and you can make those from a bag, dried, have them in the crock pot all day, or use them from a can if you're making a meal really fast. And cornbread. Take a little shot of my beautiful cornbread. So that's what we're eating everything with.